You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
Well, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. Do you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
You're probably a bit confused right now. I broke the glass. It's all come back to me.
What is this?
That's my ship.
What?
Let me take it from the top. Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm a traveller in space and time. And that thing buried down there is called a TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. You're gonna love this.
Peoples of the universe, the warriors of Sontar offer you hope.
I am the head of human resistance against Sontaran occupation.
And now we will ensure that the Flux takes apart your entire universe.
We have everything we need.
You try and kill me right now.
You have no escape.
Hey there, Whovians. We've made it to the end. That's right, folks. Doctor Who Flux is done. We have had the conclusion, and we've had the Vanquishers, the 6th chapter of Doctor Who that we've been looking forward to. Maybe there is a question mark there. And, you know, was it what we all hoped? Was it all what we were expecting? Or was it what we were expecting? So we are going to be talking all about that tonight, and we've got a great crew to talk about it tonight. But of course, we first want to hear from you guys at home. Please write us feedback at earthstationwho.com. Let us know what you guys thought of this episode. We did get a piece of email, so we are going to read that at the end of the show from our friend Robert McIntyre in the UK. He dropped his thoughts on this final episode. I'm going to be very curious to hear what he thought and how it matches up with what we thought. We do have a couple guests sitting in with us, though, tonight. Let's, of course, first welcome Shirley's back on the show. Shirley, how are things at the Pandorica restaurant?
Oh, they are the same. It's good. It's holiday season. The area is filled with shoppers and everything. Things are going good, you know.
That's awesome. Probably compared to last year, it's probably hopping this year.
Well, yeah, there's more people around, more people shopping.
That's good. Hopefully you guys are doing okay up there, too.
Yeah, we're doing good. Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. And, of course, we have a newbie with us on the show. Let's welcome one of my favorite Doctor Who fans. I've been part of her group for quite some time up on Facebook. Let's welcome Ramona to the show.
Hi, all.
How are you, Ramona? You are a huge Doctor Who fan, and we've actually not had you up on the show before. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and who is your doctor?
My name is Romona, and I'm from Hartford, Connecticut, and I'm a big Doctor Who fan. Have been since before 1984. But 1984 is an integral year, as my first episode on PBS was Pyramids of Mars.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
Nice.
That is awesome. That is really, really awesome. We just actually reviewed that not that long ago on the show. So it's pretty awesome. And so you've been with Hooked on Doctor Who since, or?
Long since.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Well, I'm very glad to have you up here. So as we always been doing through Doctor Who Flux when we have people on the show, this goes out both to Shirley and you, Ramona. What has your thoughts been on the series so far?
So far, up until the Vanquishers? Or
Yeah, not including
not
the
including the
Vanquishers.
Vanquishers. We're gonna spend time on that tonight. Don't worry.
Okay. So up until the Vanquishers, I hopeful, and I thought it was exciting. It was a little bit of a confusing ride, but waiting for the end just to see how everything plays out. And I enjoyed it. Most of it was good.
Okay, that's awesome. What about you, Ramona?
You really, really need to watch each episode more than once. There's a lot of stuff in there, and you might miss it on just the first viewing.
Oh, sure.
And the content is a little bit more adult-oriented instead of when the original shows were first put out, they were young person oriented. But I did find some of it confusing, and I myself found myself Googling a little bit.
Okay. No, that totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. Well, I'm going to be very curious to hear what you guys' thoughts tonight. We'll get into that in a moment. But of course, let's introduce our regulars to the show. Of course, Mr. Howdy himself, Mr. Mike Gordon is here.
Howdy.
How are you, sir?
Peachy keen.
You ready for this one?
The flux is over.
I've always wanted to say what the flux with you. It's cool. And of course, Mary Ogle is here.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
And I guess, I'm dying to know what you guys thought of this, because I've been pent up for the last 2 days trying to not to talk to anybody about it, or not really, read what, other people's reactions were or whatever. Because I like talking to you guys about it first and everything. And it's always good when it's a good episode, like the Angel's story or a couple of the other ones. And then there's the biggest fears I think we had about the Vanquishers was, can Chibnall stick the landing? And so anyway, let's get into this one. This is, of course, the Vanquishers, Jodie as the Doctor, and we had as companions, we had Vinder, we had Yaz, we had Dan, and of course we had the wonderful Professor Jericho in this one. Yeah, that's true. And Belle, and we also had Carvanista, yes, it's interesting, and we'll get into all of them. And it was this was the episode where this all came together. Everything, all the pieces were supposed to come together, and initial thoughts before, let's go, Shirley, what were your initial thoughts coming into this?
Coming into this, I was very hopeful. I wanted to see some of these plot lines resolved. I was excited to see how Chibnall was going to take care of some of the loose ends. Excited to see if Vindo would find Belle, and Dan would fetch his dog and all of that stuff. I was excited. I still am excited, but differently.
And Ramona, what about you?
I too was excited and hopeful that things were going to come together. Part of me wanted to see the Doctor get her memories back. Part of me hoped that she had other plans. You really needed a sci-fi science background to understand some of the things that were going on.
Oh, yeah.
I won't get into it now, but I'll get into it with the spoilers with you guys. But the ending didn't go the way I wanted to do, but it was close.
We'll get there. I promise. And, of course, Mike and Mary, what about you?
I liked it more than you did, I think.
You do not sound like you were happy with it. And I mean, I'll concede it was a big mess. I'll totally concede that. But I had a lot of fun watching it, and it was enjoyable to me. And did Chibnall stick the landing? Well, sort of, kind of. But it was kind of a fun ride. And so I'm willing to forgive a lot, I think, because I still feel like this was Jodie's best season.
Oh, I agree.
And Jodie was fantastic in this, no matter what was going on.
I agree.
Jodie was fantastic.
That. We had 3 of her. It was awesome.
Yes, and she was really great when she was interacting with herself.
When she was flirting with herself. You're kind of cute. I think so too. Thank you. And what about you, Mikey?
I enjoyed it, and I will say that I think that Chris stuck the landing more than I thought he was going to after watching last week's episode. And I thought he was going to leave a lot more on the table, which he kind of does, and obviously we'll get into all of that. But there were some things I really, really enjoyed. It was fun. It was fast-paced. Boy, was it fast-paced. And you really had to, pay attention. Because things were being, because he had a lot, he had set this up, so he had so much to resolve. I think it could have been better if it would spread out over 2 episodes rather than just this one. We could have had some more meaningful moments, but instead we didn't really get to savor anything because we quickly had to move on to the next thing. But I will say that I think my favorite part of it was what Mary mentioned about the using, splitting the Doctor into 3, having her have these adventures with the various companions. I thought that was a great idea, and Jodie, it was the best part of it because we got more Jodie, and Jodie really. That's the one thing about this whole miniseries that I will say Jodie's been amazing, and it's probably been my favorite thing out of Chris Chibnall's run, period.
Yeah.
Okay. Going forward, I just wanted to warn people that we are going to spoil. So if you haven't seen this episode,
the heck out of it.
Exactly. We haven't given really anything away yet, but we're going to dive into it with both feet now. So folks, if you haven't seen it, why are you listening to us? Watch this.
Go watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe watch it a couple times.
Exactly. You might need to watch it a couple times. And I've seen it twice already, and I need to drink something. That's all I have to say. But it still is better than Cyber Brigadier, I'll say that. But,
anything's better than Cyber Brigadier.
I was going to say, that is the lowest bar you can name.
Like I said.
Jeez.
So, if we're going to start with that, it's better than Ghostlight. Oh, come on. No, okay.
Hey. Wow.
Hey,
yeah.
That's my personal feelings. So,
you're entitled to it, my friend.
Else, but,
you are totally. But yes,
yeah.
It was a lot that he had laid out on the table, and they wrapped up some. They started wrapping some and putting the pieces closer together last episode, and he tried to get it all together. And I will say this: I'm glad he didn't answer everything in this episode. I think, he's leaving some of it to the final 3 specials, which is good. I think it's awesome. And if they would have done something like a Moffat did, like a little offside, oh yeah, the TARDIS exploded because it was an offshoot of the church or something, it's like, what? I wanted to find out a big story on that, not just this. So Chibnall did, what he had to set out on. No issues with that. Really no issues with that part. I thought some of the explanations were very weak. I thought some of the presentation was weak. But I thought, as everyone's saying, I thought Jodie knocked it out of the ballpark. I don't think there's one episode in this storyline this season that I did not think she was amazing. I think, this season shows me and we've said this multiple times on the 6 episodes that we've done, that she deserves to be the Doctor. She also deserves to get great writing and good storylines. So I will say that.
I will say that I know we don't usually talk about rumors, but I'm going to talk about this one because it's actually it's a pretty strong established rumor that this was supposed to be an 8-episode season, not a 6-episode season, that it was cut down because of COVID. And you could tell in certain scenes that they were kind of working with a COVID protocol. And I know that that must have limited them in some ways. And so I think it's a valid criticism that I've heard a lot that these episodes didn't leave a lot of room to breathe. And that's true. But I will also say that I think that, I think it's pretty amazing that they did what they did under the constraints that they had during a pandemic. That, they were filming during the height of the pandemic. And, I can kind of see where they probably cut a lot of stuff out that it could have gone on. It got condensed in a way that it probably wasn't quite meant to.
Like any storyline where the Great Serpent actually made sense.
Yeah, I think the Great Serpent was just completely, totally unnecessary. That was just, I don't even know why he was there. I do think they failed on that one.
Certainly could have expanded on some other storylines and eliminated the Great Serpent.
Yeah, he was not really needed. And there was no real great payoff with him.
Or with Kate Stewart even.
Exactly.
And I really like Kate Stewart.
She was there just for fun because she added nothing to the actual
film,
aside from just being great to see her.
Or possibly just setting a location.
Well, exactly. Or she was in charge of the great, human resistance, and you saw only one member of the resistance and was killed just like that.
Right. And there's no setup for that guy either. It's just, you don't even care.
No.
So yeah, that was not that whole part with the unit was not done well.
I think
that was a waste of 30 seconds.
I think anything with the Grand Serpent and unit for these couple stories was just a waste. It was, it didn't even give Vinder, satisfaction for banishing the guy or anything. It wasn't.
Like I said, there was no great payoff.
No.
Yeah. There really wasn't.
And there was no great explanation as to why he was like.
Why was he there at all?
Yeah, it just I don't know. Is it possible that we could follow up with him during the next 3 episodes or 3 specials? Maybe. But look, I think a lot of what everybody was wondering going into this and going into Chibnall and Jodie's last run was Chibnall going to address and complete the Timeless Child, storyline that he started. And obviously in a very Chibnall way, meaning very almost subversive way, this is his follow-up to that. And then quickly chucked in the bin and say at the end to say that's not going to be touched upon again. It was a very convoluted way of saying basically, we're just gonna put that away, and if somebody wants to open up that box at some point, sure, but I think we're done with Thomas Child for maybe ever.
I hope we are.
I have a theory about the Watch and all the other doctors in there. When Jodie was talking to Time said that you will not regenerate, and something to the effect of beware of all the forces around you that are against you and their master. Okay,
gee, so that was kind of obvious right there.
It was, but Time was which is she, because it was Jodie at that time, was saying that you're going to die. She said your time is up. You will not regenerate. So what we might get, if maybe this was a lead-in, that, okay, maybe there won't be any new doctors, but there's hundreds of old doctors in the Watch that could be brought back as Doctor Who.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's like she's already outlived all her regeneration, supposedly, but we've got hundreds in there. This could still go on for thousands of years.
Yeah, I don't. As far as the regeneration thing and there being a limit, I think we've just blown that. That's not a thing. That's an easy hurdle to get over. And I don't know. I mean, I certainly don't want the next series or what Russell T's doing or whatever to be like prequel stuff. I just don't want to see. That's not what I want to see. So, I hope. There's been a lot of threats, a lot of things where it's like the Doctor, you're at the end, and you get that all the time when he regenerates or she regenerates. So I don't put a lot of faith into that as if like that's going to happen, but it's just another warning. Like that's what could happen. And she has to avoid it.
You have a lot of spin-off shows in the Hooniverse that Russell T wants to do.
Well, yeah,
I could see them, doing a lot of spin-offs based on that.
Oh, I would love to see a spin-off with the Fugitive Doctor. I think
she was good.
And with Carbonista as her companion. And, exactly. And that would be really awesome because, even Carbonista said, hey, yes, you figured it out, but I can't say anything because, Division put a poison thing in my skull that will kill me if I talk to it. Yeah, because Doctor Who.
Which she glossed over completely. I mean, if he was her companion at some point, which is what she deduced, she would want to do anything she can to help him. Not just say, "Oh, okay," and leave it at that. That's not.
But this is the same doctor who, when Graham was talking about his cancer, she said, "Oh, I'm kind of uncomfortable with this."
Well, it's Chibnall. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she had to let Carbonista go because any further contact with him could activate the synaptic, basically bomb in his head.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. Yeah,
that is a good point. But
she has to avoid him.
Very much so. But
it's kind of like the Donna thing,
right?
Yeah, but it's also, in all truth, it was the thought.
Everybody loves that
the Sontarans killed off Carbonista's race, just like offhandedly. Oh yes, we threw them all out the airlock, and it's like so he's the last of his race now. And
because every single one of them was there. What about the one that got away earlier? There was a lot of stuff there, obviously, and that didn't have that emotional beat didn't ring true because they had to rush through it. There's a lot of emotional beats that would have.
All the Lupari are grown-up males. There are no female Lupari. There are no puppy Lupari.
Well, didn't the Flux destroy the planet? Isn't that why there was only the Lupari fleet that was still around? So, if you look at it that way, there was no loss since they weren't going to have any more generations anyway. But it was just she just glossed over it like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and there wasn't a lot of reaction on Carnavista's part either. I mean, part of that was the prosthetic he was wearing, and it wasn't really expressive. But that was so cheesy.
It didn't seem appropriate. Actually, it seemed more like I don't know. Maybe I know what they were going for, but
it was almost like the Klingons. Here comes a warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Klingons did it better, though.
Yeah, I'd say so too. So real quick, with the Timeless Child, is that something that you guys are, now that we've had this run, and granted, he could mention it or it could come up in the next 3 specials. I don't think it will, but it could. I think this, when Jodie put that fob down deep down and said bury this, I was kind of like, okay, that's what the BBC is saying. bury this whole storyline.
Took it very literally.
Exactly. If someone wants to get, do something with it, then fine. But but we did, so we have learned that the Doctor, we confirmed that the Timeless Child stuff wasn't just the Master lying to her, setting her up. It's real, and we did meet her adoptive mother, who was killed, and then we didn't really get a moment like that was a powerful moment. So that was rushed through the episode beforehand, but still, so that's there and it exists, and now it's gone. Is that, and this is the way that Chibnall addressed it, with this sort of like weird kind of flux and swarm and everything else convoluted into it. I wasn't satisfied with that part of it, but I guess I'm satisfied with the story being at least buried for now.
Well, I wasn't satisfied at all about when Azure opened the watch and they went into wherever it was, and it was a haunted house, dilapidated house. It was just like, really? That was just stupid.
Well, he stole that idea from a book.
I was going to say, I think that's like a reference to something else. And I know visually it looked really cool and menacing, and I think it did what it's supposed to visually, but I don't think, like, aside of that, when you looked into it, it falls flat. It's not really that
exactly. And Swarm going, I can destroy the house and I could bring it back and I could destroy it, and it was like, oh, don't.
Well, that was their whole thing, was reliving the destruction of the universe over and over and over again.
Exactly.
Yeah. And sitting outside of it and laughing about it.
I think that would get old after a while.
Here we go again.
To do this, that's what they want to do for the rest of their existence, is destroy the universe, bring it back, destroy the universe, and watch the Doctor suffer. I mean, how long can you do that?
This is even greater than I expected it to be. It was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Just let them sit.
But I mean, that actually was pretty dark when they were dusting Jodie, bringing her back, dusting her, bringing her back. That was pretty horrific.
Yeah, that was visually. It was pretty. It was that was tough.
Yeah. Visually, the effects, I could not make one complaint about the effects this season. They had some pretty amazing effects, except for the rock gods of time. But other than that, I thought,
gods of time.
But otherwise, I thought the BBC and Doctor Who, they did amazing with the budget they had and with the effects. This episode carried that on. I completely think the destruction of the Cybermen and the Dalek ships was just as good as something you would see, in Star Trek The Next Generation or something like that,
What's that Shakespeare phrase? Full of sound and fury and signifying nothing. That's exactly what that was. It was like, oh, this is pretty. Oh, I know that the Daleks and the Cybermen are not really going to be dead for long, especially since I know they're going to be in next week's episode. So I'm like, that's like, gee, this looks pretty spectacular. Too bad it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times have they done that?
No, it's absolutely true. It's true. I'm not saying that it's a new concept. It's
not even just Doctor Who that does that. I mean, how many times has Star Trek done that?
True.
Or Star Wars.
It's nice, since they have done it so many times, to not show us that that's what they've done. We can wait 1 week to find out the Daleks are back. Show us a different area of trailer. We don't have to see the Daleks. It disappoints me when they throw that.
When the title is "Evil of the Daleks," you kind of go, "Okay, yeah." They do that all the time anyway with the Daleks. Yeah. They've never, because I think there's actually a contingent of people that get excited for them.
I mean, that's a good point, though, Shirley. We've talked about this before, how the BBC is always sort of, stepping all over itself.
Right.
Yeah.
I give them a lot of credit for surprising us as much as they have, though. I mean, they've had some really, especially during Chibnall's time, they've had some really big surprises, even during this whole 6-episode arc here that, they kept under wraps pretty well. I don't seek out spoilers, but there was nothing in my face and there was nothing that was like terribly like shocking.
I would have been very curious to see, because Barrowman was originally supposed to be part of this storyline, and they had to write him out because of the controversy with him. I wonder what Captain Jack's portion would have been in this, because they had so many characters already in this, that we got to see. What would
he was going to be Carvanista?
Actually, I would. Don't laugh.
Except there would not have been a fleet to get rid of.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, he would have just rounded up people to do it. They would have just, glossed over it.
All old companions of Doctor Who.
Potential love interest for Dan.
That's a very good point. Very, very good point. It would have been very interesting to see, but I liked some of the new characters. I shed a tear when they killed off Jericho in this one.
Oh, he was probably the most emotional moment.
Oh, God, yes.
For me, anyway. I mean,
what did you say at the end? Scourge of Scoundrels. That should have been the title of my autobiography. Brilliant. Great. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were actually emotionally invested in him, so it meant something.
I think that was probably one of the most emotional parts in this episode was, them killing him off. And, the Doctor could have gone back in time and,
no,
put the TARDIS around.
No,
don't do that.
No.
They had to Adric him, but it's okay.
They had to Adric him, right?
Yep.
I will say too that on a plus side, it wasn't as powerful as I'd hoped, but I was pretty emotional when Vinder and Bell finally reunited. I thought that was nice.
That was nice.
I mean, I've been enjoying their storyline of this whole run. I've been rooting for those kids, even when even was rumored they were going to be the Doctor's parents. I was still kind of like, I like them as characters, so please don't do that to them, and they didn't. But I'll even go as far as to say that Big Finish wants to pick up on the adventures of Vinder Bell, their baby and their pet dog. I'll be all for that, So we've got maybe two
spinoffs.
Two spinoffs for Big Finish. We've got Yaz Gang and the Vinder Bell Gang.
Oh, we have Fugitive Doctor too. So.
Yes, we do.
That's true. We do have Fugitive. Right.
There's
three.
But
Fugitive Doctor came before this arc, so before this storyline. But
I still would have loved to have seen true Big Finish adventures with Jericho. I thought he was that strong of a character.
Yeah.
And
Jericho still has a past that could be worked with.
True, but led him up to that point and everything. That's very possible. That's a really good point, Ramona. And
on the other side, I wish they'd done a little bit more with Claire. I thought that I was hoping for good things with her when she was introduced, but I found that Jericho really just eclipsed her.
I was fully expecting, and I don't know if I was the only one, when they put Claire into the psychic, torture chamber or whatever, I was hoping the angel would have come out of her or something like that to attack the Sontarans. I was going, oh, they're in trouble. Here comes the angels.
I don't think the angel's in her anymore.
No,
it's not.
Yeah.
But I would love that. That would have been awesome.
Too bad.
Yeah, see, if I would have written it, it would have been there would have been a lot of big differences. But anyway, but yeah, it was good. I thought the whole thing with the Sontarans and chocolate was stupid as heck.
Oh, I loved it.
You liked it?
I thought it was harken back to Strax's like of sweets. Miss Jenny's sherbet fancies.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, I forgot about
that.
That's right. Okay. I take back what I just said.
I don't think they did. Well, I don't think they did it particularly well. It's funny, though, that scene it has been one of the most controversial I've heard from people. People are very polarized about whether the scene with the chocolate was good or not.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I found it kind of clumsy, but a lot of people either hated it or loved it.
Well, the Sontarans can be bribed.
Oh, yeah.
But even though they can be bribed, I think the question that most people have is that he was in a candy store already, surrounded by chocolate. How can you bribe somebody?
He's already got everything.
Surrounded it.
The recipe.
Yeah, the recipe for the chocolate.
Yeah, the recipe. True.
I want to see a Sontaran cooking chocolate. That would just...
they were offering the Sontaran the golden ticket, right? Like, the Doctor was Willy Wonka and is offering them the golden ticket.
He was just thinking, I'm going to make so much money on the Sontaran black market.
I will say this, Chibnall has made the Sontarans a threat again. I will give that to him. They were actually handled really well in this storyline.
I thought they were all right in the first use of them. I thought they were as opportunists, and during the second episode, I thought they were. But when now they're elevated to one of the quote unquote big three or whatever, I thought that felt a little forced.
I've always felt that they were part of the big three. I thought they might be like the big 15.
You're not impressed by the Sontarans.
He's not impressed by the Sontarans. Okay,
the Sontarans are good. And that was mean. I'll say maybe the big 10. I wouldn't put them I wouldn't put them as like 1, 2, 3 as far as the best adversaries against them.
I would put them up against the Daleks who cannot fly.
Okay.
I put them equal to that because then they both have their vulnerabilities. I mean, you could smack a Sontaran in the back of the neck and that's it. He's done.
All you need is Dan with a pan. It's awesome.
Or with a walk. And then again, with the Daleks not being able to go upstairs, you could just run, So I equate them together. But not as a current foe, no.
The Sontarans, it's so well known that it's kind of like, I wish that they would, we'd be introduced to them and someone whacks them in the back and it's like, nope, we took care of that. And it's like, oh no, now we have to figure out something else. Like they should be evolved beyond that, I think. But I'm glad that they use the older type makeup and stuff on them because I think that does make them a little scarier, a little spookier, less like toyish, like the 10th Doctor dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And
too cute.
I had to love the fact that, when the Sontarans made their plea for the universe, we will unite the universe except for you Rutans. You can go to hell.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious. I know only a certain amount of people are going to get that.
It's true, but those of us who do are howling on the floor.
That was so funny.
It was so good. But I think that's the thing about the Sontarans. There's always that element of humor with them that there isn't with the others.
No, it's true. But, they were treacherous in this one. They were optimistic and they basically wanted, they were using the Daleks and the Cybermen as fodder for the Flux. And
okay, so all right. So the way things are left, the Flux has destroyed pretty much most of the known universe.
Yes.
And including the big, quote unquote, the big three now, the Cybermen, the Daleks, and the Sontarans are all gone thanks to the Flux. At the end, everything's happy-go-lucky. We're just going to go on another adventure. And I'm like, wait a minute. How much of a universe is there left for you to
There's
explore?
Nothing else unless they go to the past.
I thought of that too. They did not resolve the whole universe thing.
Aren't you going to uncompress things? Is that that? I think they skipped that scene or something. I think they should have had a scene where
it's for the bonus material on the DVDs.
Right. The Doctor is the universe.
Yeah, really.
Oh, yeah, that's what they said. That's what Azure said that?
Yes.
I think or Form. One of them said it. The Doctor is the universe.
To be honest with you, that's been my weakest part to this whole thing is that I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I just don't get the concepts or what, but the whole space versus time, what Swarm wants to do just makes no sense to me. Every time they open their mouth, it just seems like they're just talking fantasy talk. It doesn't make any sense to me. The whole scene at the end with quote unquote time made no sense to me whatsoever. And I just didn't feel like it had any basis in anything. I thought it was just Chibnall trying to be clever, and it just fell flat for me.
Well, all
I got was, one, he wanted to punish the Doctor, and two, he wanted to destroy all matter.
Yes, and he wanted to punish Division as well. So he wanted to take down Division, punish the Doctor, and then take that out and watch the universe get destroyed over and over again on endless loop, like Netflix for the universe or something like. Binge watch the universe destroyed.
And
coming up next, you might also like this universal destruction.
It didn't make sense at all, though. It didn't make sense how quickly they were basically time just like. Got rid of them. That's just like, It
seemed like a.
Well, why would time be a thing?
Well, exactly.
Why would you even want to anthropomorphize time? What's the purpose of that? And space versus time, it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. This is not a wrestling match.
In this corner tonight. No, I don't think so. And it doesn't make sense. He left it that the universe is pretty much destroyed. The only place with life on it pretty much left is Earth. Everything else.
That was my understanding. I didn't see anything else. I mean, then the whole flux was put into the passenger. So even if they were to uncompress it, it's like, I don't know how that works. It's just it's like a giant zip disk, basically.
So my question is, what's happened to parallel universes then?
They open that idea and then they don't mention it again.
Yeah, of course not.
Right. Well, this is where the dialects can come from. This is where you can reboot the universe, is by going into the parallel one. I mean,
or just hanging out in void space for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, they can go back to end space. There we go. Yeah, Adric's people are still waiting for
E-space.
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 Please, no.
Isn't Romona still there? I mean,
well, according to Big Finish, no, she made it out.
I thought it was destroyed by the back blast.
I think so too. But that's another story on itself. But that's
Division was going to escape to other universes supposedly.
Yes.
After this one was destroyed, so I assume they're still
even
around.
Swarm mentioned that they were going to go to the hop over to another universe as well and destroy that one, and so they were going to do that again. But in the last episode, none of that. Like there was no talk of other universes or what if that was an option.
Not at all.
Work. So I think that still might be on the table because using multiverses is popular now.
Yeah, well, of course, just ask Loki.
And also they're acting like just by destroying Tecteun, which I still think was really lame.
Oh.
She had her place there. The death of Tecteun told me one thing, that she wasn't Rassilon.
That's true.
Or Omega.
Yeah, that's true.
But it just, so, I mean, what if destroying her shouldn't destroy Division though? It's just destroying her.
Because Division should still have its hands.
There were supposed to be Division agents, all over the place.
Exactly. So,
all over the place isn't there anymore.
That's a good
point.
Unless
Division isn't a physical thing, it is an idea within one being. She said, I am Division.
No, I don't buy that because there were agents all over the place. I mean, they could have Division agents in the other universes already.
And I loved it, though. The big cliffhanger at the end, Swarm was coming with his hand ready to touch the Doctor. And the Doctor, in the first minute of this, whoop, no, you didn't get me. Can't catch me. Can't get me there. And it was just like, really? Really? I was just like, oh, God. But, I did love it, when the Doctor realized that, it was Joseph Williamson was the one who created the tunnels. And she was like, oh, I didn't do anything. Oh, no, you did. You did so much. And she said, and she shook his hand, this is a Paul Hollywood handshake. And, folks who watch the Great British Baking Show totally freaked out on that one because that's right from that. So it's pretty awesome. So,
well, I would say there's another spin-off right there with all those tunnels.
Oh, yeah.
Right. We got to find out more about the Mad Mole.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be in it, but I think the tunnels will be.
No, because the tunnels are still existing. There wasn't anything to destroy them.
Yeah. You could do a whole show about a team exploring all the tunnels.
Well, exactly. And since there's no more unit, Kate Stewart is the perfect host for that. Another spin-off, folks.
There you go. That's right.
What's behind this door? I want to know what was behind the door that took out all those Sontarans that Yaz opened.
I can see the Big Finish series now. The Tunnels of Kate Stewart.
No.
That is not a good title.
No.
No, that's like the porn parody.
I see. Gotcha. Well, I didn't say it was Kate Stewart's Tunnels.
Mike, you might want to stop before you go too far down this one.
I almost said something I really shouldn't say.
Now we're getting interested.
This is devolving.
So, yeah, let's talk more about the Flux.
Yeah, I just after Swarm and Azure were destroyed, it was like, what was the point of them? It was just like. It did not make. It was just like, oh, let's just wipe them out like this with a snap of a finger.
That again may have had to do with the fact that he had to reduce it down to 6 episodes instead of 8 and couldn't draw it out any longer.
That's possible. I agree with that.
It actually, that would be. I would believe that because that did seem very, like I had to come up with something at the last minute.
Yeah, but I even got the feeling that. It just felt like the whole 6 episodes. It felt so empty that no matter how much more explanation you would have given it, I don't think I would have grasped it. I don't think it was something that was really deep and thought out. I think it was just something that there was just words that he was slinging around. It's like, I know, I'll be clever and let's do space versus time. And how does that work? I don't know. I'm just going to use these words. And that's what it felt like to me. But I don't know. Maybe there are some theories behind all that, and I'm just not privy to that information. But I don't think they did a great job in making it seem like it was a plausible thing. I mean, I could dig like Greek gods of various things being at war with one another, but in this instance, time and space just didn't make sense to me.
Well, exactly.
Well, that's because it's nonsense.
Well, yeah, that's what it felt like. So like I said, I don't know if it really is. There's some sort of theory behind it that he was trying to tap into. I don't think so. But I didn't get that.
Well, it's interesting. One of the points that you have to think about. You saw that Diane was still in Swarm. I mean, in Passenger, sorry. And, when Vinder went in and they found each other in there, were there other people still in there from, all those times that...
No, she said no.
Nope.
They got used for fuel to make the connection between the Doctor and Swarm.
Yeah.
So they were all destroyed.
They don't know why... Yeah, Diane didn't know why they left her behind, but...
she's a nobody, as she said.
She was bait.
Yeah.
Well, she was bait, right? Because they knew who she was, and that's the reason they took her. They took her for a reason to use against the Doctor and Dan and all that. And so, and that could have been actually explained as the link, because since there was a link between Diane and Dan, that could have helped be a link to the Doctor, but they didn't actually make that.
Right.
connection.
She was just another white point diamond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But exactly. I mean, even though they didn't do a lot with her, and granted, we can use the excuse that they didn't have time. But I thought the actress was great. I thought she was good. I thought she, whatever. Even though her time was limited and some of the stuff was like not really believable, I thought she did a really good job, and she really helped ground that character as well as Dan. To an extent that even at the end when Dan asks her out and she's like, nah, not right now or whatever, I still feel for them. Their connection is still there, and I appreciate them. They're interesting to me still.
Yeah, that was actually one of the more realistic human moments, is that you could totally understand why she might be, I'm not so sure I want to get caught up in this.
Man. Yeah, it's not safe around you, dude. So... Yeah, and he was back in the museum, telling his tales about, go to Liverpool. So,
Scouse.
but it was, I don't know. There's just, I didn't, after I watched it the first time, I was just like sitting there going, really?
He had no home. He had no girlfriend.
Yes, but he has
and
a
then
TARDIS.
the doctor picks him up.
Yeah. Well, I think his house is still in his pocket, right? Like,
yeah.
Like he just carries his house with him all the time. It would have been fun if, like, you know, during the whole time where they were trapped in the past or whatever, if Dan had just been like, I'm kind of I'm homesick, and he'd be like, I've got my home right here. Like it just would have been nice if he had just kind of kept that.
Oh, forget the home. Let's invest in Cray. Let's put stock options in Cray computers. Yahoo. When they come up, let's put a couple of shillings in the bank account for 100 years from now.
On the
that's what I always said about the Angels. What's wrong with going back? You know,
Exactly.
You know everything that's going to happen in the future. Make a fortune.
Regarding Team Yaz or Yaz Gang, Yaz was great. You know, they don't really focus on her a lot, but she does a lot of great things. She's the leader of Team Yaz, right? But I'll tell you, there's a lot in in various parts of this 6-parter that, you know, is going to give the Yaz Doctor fanfic people like a lot to work with.
Oh, wow. Especially that apology.
Lots of Indiana Jonesing for Yaz.
I mean, they're reuniting towards the, you know, halfway through, and the apologies and all that. Man, that felt really intimate.
That was fan service.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. Because they never showed you any connection between Yaz and the Doctor. You never saw
like
how that grew.
Just the one big bed in the console room.
You know?
When both of them landed in the bed at the same time in the console room.
Yeah.
Who's sleeping in that bed?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. We talked about that. We talked about that in the first episode. It was just like, how convenient. The bed was right there in the console room. You know.
Well, the TARDIS is kind of moving stuff around.
Okay, keep on saying that, Mike. It's okay.
Hey, I'm just saying they've established that things are moving around on the TARDIS.
I'm sure they are, my friend.
Although
I'm sure they are.
They said, "Wow, if the TARDIS is moving." Now I've just got my mind going in 100 different other crass things to say.
Gone, Squash Court 7 is gone.
Just don't start talking about the Doctor and Yaz's tunnels.
Hey, if you could talk about Kate Stewart, you could talk about the Doctor and Yaz's.
Oh man!
Wow, I love.
Well, They mentioned all that stuff about the TARDIS in the first few episodes, and then they just kind of forgot about it. It wasn't an issue in the last 3. But I do feel like because of the poster art that the next episode will kind of touch upon at least the fact of what's going on with the TARDIS. But I do, for the most part, hope that these next 3 episodes, these specials that we get, are stand-alone, nice little adventures. So we don't need any more surprises. like, you know, don't start introducing new elements here. Like, just tell us some really good stories next year and finish Jodie's run off with a bang.
I hope so. I really hope so. And they got 3 specials to do it with, and it should be very interesting to do it. We have Eve of the Daleks is the next one. So, and that's coming to us on, January 1st?
Yeah, it's New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
3 weeks away.
It's only 3 weeks away. So, oh boy, we don't have to wait that much before new Doctor Who, which is really awesome. Let's go ahead. Let's give ratings. Not the TARDIS ones, the thumbs
ratings
up.
Or thumbs up?
Thumbs up. We're going to do a thumbs up or thumbs down for this episode. And you can do a
thumb sideways.
An ambivalent thumb. So we can do that too.
Ambivalent thumb.
So I am going to go with Shirley going first.
Ambivalent thumb.
Okay. Ramona?
Ambivalent thumbs, because things kind of went downhill after the Village of Angels.
Okay. Howdy, Mike.
My thumb is going to be, it's not like all the way up, like, hey, yeah, but it's kind of there. Like if we're just doing this episode, right? Just talking about this finale,
episode.
I thought, he did pretty well, especially if we give him, like a little bit of a handicap because of COVID and he had to shorten the season or whatever. If you put that in mind, there are some moments in here that were really, really fun and great, and it was enjoyable to watch, even if some of it didn't make any sense. So, and like I said, I think it's the best thing that Chibnall and Jodie has done since they've got the job. So,
Agreed.
I'm going to give it a positive thumbs up.
Okay, Mary.
I'm going to give it, basically it's a 45 degrees. It's not 0, it's not 90, it's somewhere in the middle there. But I will say that despite its flaws, and I will absolutely admit that this is flawed, I had fun watching it. I really enjoyed it, and I especially watching Jodie, especially like we were talking about splitting her up, into threes, because we got more Jodie that way.
Well, we got a multi-doctor story. It was awesome.
Yeah, right. And those parts I loved. And so, yes, there was silliness and nonsense, and Chibnall just not knowing what to do and how to dig himself out of some holes. But it was, it was fun. It was fun. And so I'm willing to give it at least a partial thumbs up.
Okay. And I hate to say it, I'm ambivalent with this one. And, it's the first one of the season that I haven't given a thumbs up to. So, kind of, I don't think it stuck the landing like I was hoping to. But you know what? We definitely want to hear from you guys. Please write us feedback at earthstationwho.com. Let us know what you guys thought. Were we totally off base, or were our thumbs correct for this one? So we definitely would love to hear from you guys about that. We did get a piece of email, like we mentioned earlier. That's why we like give you guys our email address, because we like getting emails. And our friend Robert gave us a nice little email here. Rob said, "Hey guys, just a quick email with my thoughts on the latest episode of Flux and the overall series. My overall feelings at the end of the last episode was frustration. For me, there was too many unanswered questions and plot lines that were not tied up. These may be wrapped up in the specials, but I'm not that hopeful. The episode was good, but it could have been great, and this one wasn't. The one shining light was Jodie's performance. She knocked it out of the ballpark, and I will miss her when she's gone." He took that from us. That's good. He's a British person's using ballpark. That's awesome. The episode was technically a multi-doctor story, and one of the best we've had. I loved the interaction of the Doctor had with herself. Couldn't agree more. Jodie was amazing, and especially as the multi-doctors. And I'm hoping in the specials we might see her in the dark jacket again, too. Because, that would be really cool for their final stories. The episode as a whole, the good parts. When written right, Yaz was awesome. Professor Jericho was a wonderful character, and I was genuinely gutted when he was killed off. I had already planned to buy the Big Finish audios. The Sontarans are back for their ruthless best. And Dan was far better than I expected him to be. Okay. What frustrated him was the Grand Serpent was his point. It just didn't make sense why he was there. I had feelings he may return in the specials. I also think he may be Rassilon. Based that off the Doctor's comments that he had a dual binary system, and she then asked him what he was running on when he was exiled. Vinder and Bell, I liked the characters, but I just didn't see the point of their story. And don't get me started on Diane. Her inclusion made no sense at all. Kate Stewart, loved the character, but totally underused. She was the head of a human resistance, but we only saw her in the tunnel. True. Swarm, a great villain, but defeated too easily with no real explanation of who he is or was. And how did trapping the flux within the passenger reset the rest of the universe, or we did not just see that part? I could go on, but I know you guys have a rest of the show to record. Overall, he gave the story a 3.5 out of 5. Some episodes hooked me, some frustrated me, but it did keep me interested enough to watch the last episode live, something I haven't done in a long time. Take care, guys. Love and miss you all. Rob McIntyre.
Oh, I love you, Robert.
Robert, thank you. Thank you, Robert. That was awesome. And he brought up most of the points we brought up in this episode. So I think we're all in pretty much the same mind and everything. But, you know, we're going to be coming back again next week when we are going to be doing a Facebook Live. We are going to be doing it on Tuesday, the 14th of December at 8 p.m. Eastern. And it'll be up on Facebook in the ESW group, or Station Who group, of course. And we'll probably simulcast it over into the ESO Network Facebook group also. So definitely, you know, if you want to join us, we'll be taking questions. We'll be talking to quite a few folks. So, and we'll be giving reviews and ratings of everyone who's been on the show for the 6 episodes. Finally, you know, everyone's been saying, can I tell it, Mike? Can I tell you what I thought now? How many TARDISes? So it's going to be a lot of fun to do. So please join us then. But let's, of course, thank the folks who were with us this week. Ramona, you made it through your first episode with us.
Thank you for having me here.
It was a lot of fun. And you want to tell people about your Facebook group?
I have several Facebook groups and pages, but tonight I'll just introduce you to the 14th Doctor Who page, which I've had for a couple of years. And right now it's dedicated to Jodie Whittaker's character.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Definitely take a look at her stuff, folks. It's a lot of fun. There's some great Doctor Who discussions in there. And thankfully, she's a huge fan of ours because she includes us with it, too. So it's really awesome. Thank you for all your support, Ramona. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And Shirley, thank you so much for joining us also.
I'm glad I could pop in. It's always great to be with you all.
You are fantastic. Do you want to give a little plug for the Pandorica?
Okay. We are the Pandorica restaurant. We are 90 minutes out north of New York City in the wonderful small city of Beacon, New York. Right on the train station. You can just take us up from Grand Central.
That is awesome. Folks, if you guys are into Doctor Who at all, this is a place to go visit. And it is one of the most amazing Doctor Who places you could even go. Shops, restaurant, anything. You walk in and you're inundated with Doctor Who. Even going to the bathroom, you're inundated with Doctor Who. It's awesome. And the food is amazing there, folks. So definitely check it out. The Earth Station Who sign of approval. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
So our 5 listeners will be there. It's awesome. It's cool. And of course, let's thank our regulars for being here tonight. Of course, Mary Ogle, thank you as always.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was a great time.
Anything you want to shout out about or plug?
You can find my artwork at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And Mr. Mike, we made it through another one, sir.
We did. And as always, it's my pleasure.
Exactly. And if folks want to listen, Earth Station 1, this week we have talked all about some of the our favorite holiday music. And it's going to be it's a lot of fun. We have Ricky and Bambi of Radio Cult on with us, and also Michelle, our music goddess, is with us, you know, our iconic music goddess, I should say. So it's pretty darn awesome. So check out our Station 1 for that. And like I said, we're going to be doing a Facebook Live next week on Tuesday, the 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern up on Facebook. So definitely check us out. And if you don't have Facebook or don't support that kind of stuff, we'll have the episode up here on our usual release date. So definitely check that out. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you have a chance and feel very gracious for the holidays, give us 5-star ratings wherever you listen to this. We would really appreciate it. If you feel, you know, not so holiday-ish or grim or like the Grinch or something, still give us 5 stars. But just say, they were just given out of charity. That's it. That's a good way to do it. So thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you here next time on Earth Station Who. Peace. And you know what? We'll see you for the New Year's special in just 3 weeks. Talk to you then. Peace. And we are done.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
Do you know how fast you were going?
Sorry, officer. 1 episode every 2 weeks?
2 weeks! Did you also know you're carrying a dangerously heavy load?
Yes, sir, we do. We've got interviews, fight nights, film discussions, Desert Island DVDs, and lots more.
I think we've got to take you down to the station. You do not have to write anything, but it may harm the Cosmic Pizza podcast if you do not mention, when questioned, something you later wanted in the promo or feedbacks. Anything you do say may be used in said feedback.
Cosmic Pizza podcast is not about the cosmos, all about pizza.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.